Okay, so here we are live once again, and I have another DC Multiverse figure to open, and this is Dr. Fate from Black Adam. I've been sitting on this one for a while. I found him at Walmart. You can see for $15. So that's a good sale price that I found on him, or at least it was at the time a good sale price because now I can find them on Amazon for like around $10. So somewhere is my X-Acto knife. The other day it fell off of my table and it fell into a pile of stuff. I found it. We'll make sure I have that when I open this up. But yeah, $15 is still a pretty good deal for a Mcfarlane figure, I think. Even though, like, if I had known that, if I had known I would get them for $10 later on Amazon, I probably would have waited if I had known that it was going to be that cheap on Amazon later. Especially because I didn't get around to opening them until just now. I've got a big stack of Mcfarlane figures that I need to open, and I've got from Shazam: Fury of the Gods, I have Captain Marvel. Yes, the character's name is Captain Marvel. I'm not going to call him Shazam. That's stupid. I have Captain Atom. I have Donna Troy. I have the classic Martian Manhunter. Got a whole bunch of stuff to open that I still haven't gotten around to yet. Animal Man, Midnighter. I've been picking them up when I find them on sale, and I've just got a big stack of them. So yeah, let's go ahead and get onto this guy. So here's the picture. On the back, we can see there's a nice illustration of Dr. Fate with the Black Adam lightning bolt behind him, the Shazam lightning bolt, because he's a Shazam character. Shazam is the name of the wizard that gives Black Adam and Captain Marvel their powers. Of course, Black Adam being the guy that, Shazam would have first given the powers to thousands of years ago, and that didn't work out so well, did it? They changed his origin around a little bit in the movie. I didn't really care for how they changed his origin around in the movie, but for the most part, I really liked the movie. I had a lot of fun watching it, and I feel like it deserved to do better at the box office. So there's the side of the box, Dr. Fate from Black Adam. There's the other side of the box. That's what the top looks like. All this stuff is pretty standard. Really, the main thing worth pointing out in most of this packaging is it does have the Black Adam movie logo on there. So let's go ahead and open them up. Got a piece of tape there. Also, I have with me, where did it go? I got too much crap over here. I got to get things organized. So I have the another Dr. Fate figure, so we can compare. That is the first Injustice Dr. Fate that they put out. They put out a second Injustice Dr. Fate, which I didn't buy because at first I thought it was just a repaint of that one. But when I looked closer, I noticed that he didn't have this loincloth type thing that this Dr. Fate has. He actually has trunks. So I figure there's probably some other differences too. I figure they probably share some parts, although I don't know which parts. Remember the other day when I opened up? Looks like the packaging got a little damaged right here where the bubble is. That's okay because that just makes it easier for me to open up this bubble. So, trading card. There we go. We'll look at that in a minute. And then he does not have a standard figure stand. He has a flight stand. But the other day when I was talking about the Hawkman figure and how you should look on Amazon and see if you can find a figure with a flight stand for cheap, well, I just told you this guy's $10 and he comes with a flight stand. So you're welcome. And this figure don't look too bad himself. So probably worth having an extra Dr. Fate. I might go ahead and order another one of these for $10. I might go ahead and order another one of these myself, just so I can have an extra flight stand, and maybe paint this Dr. Fate into more of the classic colors with a blue suit instead of this black suit. And I think he had a blue suit in the movie, so I'm not sure why he has a black suit in the figure. Maybe they originally intended it for him to have a black suit in the movie and changed it at the last minute, and Mcfarlane didn't have a chance to change their figure to match. And notice the back of his cape is black too. I don't remember the back of his cape specifically what color it is in the movie, honestly, because I haven't seen the movie in a while. I should probably go back and rewatch it. He's got some cool spell casting hands. We're going to get into him in just a minute. Let me set him aside. I would have thought his whole cape would have been gold, though. That's just me. But it might be interesting to, buy, like I said, buy another one of these and go ahead and repaint him into more classic Dr. Fate colors. That might be a cool thing to do. Let's have a look at the trading card. It's got the same piece of artwork as on the back of the package, but it's cropped in, so it looks like it's just a plain yellow background. You can barely see any of the lightning bolt shape. There's just a little bit there by his elbow. It says, Dr. Fate, Black Adam, data file. Real name, Kent Nelson. Upon wearing the ancient golden helmet of Dr. Fate, Kent Nelson transforms from kindly academic into a mystical sorcerer. One of the founding members of the Justice Society, Dr. Fate is able to forego all emotion to envision future outcomes, conjure terrifying illusions, and bewitch his opponents with power that outmatches even the powers of the gods. Pretty cool, huh? So, like, before I ever saw Dr. Fate in any comic book, I received him for Christmas one year. He was one of the Superpowers figures that was in my stocking from Santa Claus. So, thank you, Santa Claus. All right. But yeah, I had never seen this character before, and I thought he looked really cool. I'd never even seen the figure before I got him in my Christmas stocking. And I hadn't seen him in the comic books at all, but I just thought he was a really cool character, like I was able to accept him fairly well into my Justice League. And later on, when I became more of a serious aficionado of comic books, that was when I had read the miniseries Legends. I think the writer on that one was Len Wein and John Ostrander. I think they both wrote that one together. And John Byrne was the artist. And I was a huge fan of John Byrne at the time. Like, most people reading comic books were. I mean, like, X-Men, Fantastic Four. Dude was already a legend for doing those. And then he came over to DC and revamped Superman. And I was really excited with that Superman relaunch. And then he drew this Legends miniseries, which was the big crossover of that year and had all the superheroes in it. So I got to see him draw, like, Batman and Wonder Woman and Guy Gardner and all the other DC characters at the time. And he got to tackle Dr. Fate. I thought Dr. Fate was really cool in that. So I became a big fan of the character. And then, of course, they wound up, like, replacing him with the woman or something like that. Because this wacky stuff was happening in that Justice League title at that time. So I think Enza became Dr. Fate for a little bit. Various people were Dr. Fate. So one thing that I was not too crazy about in terms of the design of this character from the movie is they took the eyes off the helmet. And I know some people like that, but I just think it looks weird. I don't really care for the helmet not having the eyes on it. And one thing I never noticed in the movie, although it might be in the movie, is usually Dr. Fate has his ears exposed on his helmet. You can see there's an ear here. See here, the Injustice one is a little closer to the classic Dr. Fate, although it has, a little more detail to it than the comic book version. But the other side doesn't have an ear. There's lots of asymmetry to this helmet design. Like I said, I'm not crazy about it. I figure when I get the, since I'm gonna, like, I just decided just now on this show, just decided to order a second one of these while it's cheap on Amazon. I think I will probably 3D print him a new helmet and, replace the whole head. I might even, since I actually do have files to do a Pierce Brosnan head, I might just go ahead and do him an unmasked Kent Nelson head while I'm at it. It's the Pierce Brosnan actually playing Kent Nelson in Dr. Fate. Although I do have 3D printing files for, James Bond era Pierce Brosnan, so maybe I'll do a younger version too, who knows. So yeah, we already went over the flight stand, we already went over the trading card, so I guess now it's time to talk about the action figure itself and the articulation. So the head rotates all the way around, looks up about that far, looks down about that far, You can tilt his head quizzically from side to side. Really good articulation on this head. This is particularly good articulation for Mcfarlane neck articulation, I must say. The arms move up about that far. They're a little encumbered by this shoulder plate thing, which is a soft rubber. But honestly, like, it wouldn't move up too much further beyond that anyway. I'm pretty sure that is the extent you can move his arm up. And you can see then it's starting to kind of buckle on the shoulder plate, and the shoulder plate kind of presses it back down when I release it. The arms rotate all the way around. Although, again, with the shoulder plate, that's going to kind of hinder that a little bit, but they do, in theory, rotate all the way around. He does have a bicep swivel, so you can rotate his bicep all the way around. He does have the double jointed elbows, which gives you a very decent range of articulation at the elbows. Very cool. He's got the cool Mcfarlane ball joints at the wrists, so you can move his wrists around any which way. Although this one does seem to be a little jammed up here, and I don't want to force it because when I bought a Hawkman from the Dr. Fate line, which is why I never put up this video, it's very sad. I accidentally broke his wrist off. You know how I'm always telling you guys, don't force your action figure joints. Always, it gently coax it, and if you can't get it to move, then use a hairdryer or dip it in some boiling water or something like that. Well, I should have heeded my own advice. Even I get a little impatient sometimes, and I accidentally broke off Hawkman's hand. And that's why you've never seen a Hawkman review of, from the Black Adam movie on this channel, unfortunately. So one of these days I'll get a replacement, and I'll do another unboxing of Hawkman, and I'll actually post that one. I've been doing them live for a while now rather than just shooting the video and posting it. So that's probably how I'll do it this time. So he has the cool Mcfarlane torso articulation. You can twist his torso any which way. Very cool. And then legs, he can kick up about that far. So pretty decent range of motion at the legs. It is, I think, slightly encumbered by the trunks, but not as much as some other figures have been. So there we go with that. Got a double jointed knee. Bends down about that far. There is no boot cut, even though it seems like the boot is actually a separate piece of plastic. That's what it looks like to me. So they could have put a boot cut in there, but they didn't. But he does have the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation, so you can rotate the ankle all the way around that way. Ankle points up about that far. Ankle points down about that far. So really good range of motion at these ankles. And then he has the toe articulation just to show off. So since this is a movie figure, and as they usually do with movie costumes in the movies, that's a weird way to phrase that, he does have a lot of surface detail added to the suit. This isn't just a plain spandex superhero suit. It's actually got like a lot of textures and like little Ankh symbols kind of embossed into it, which I think is pretty dang cool. But it looks like almost like he's got like kind of hieroglyphics kind of sculpted into his suit, and even the back of the cape, you can see. Hopefully, that's coming through on the camera. Hopefully, you're catching that on YouTube. He's got like little Ankh symbols in his cape, which is really awesome. See, like there's one right here. Can you see that? I'm hoping you can see that. But yeah, there's like a pattern with these Ankh symbols in this cape, and I think that's just really awesome. I really like how that works out. And then he's got, like I said, he's got this kind of shoulder plate thing with an Ankh symbol in the front of it. Now, those familiar with Dr. Fate's original costume from the comic books, he had an amulet, which the Ankh symbol kind of takes the place of that. So I guess it's an Ankh amulet now. And then he did have like kind of some shoulder plates, but more sort of thing like you see on like a Flash Gordon or a Buck Rogers suit at the time, like what Wolverine has, those kind of shoulder plates that don't really do anything. You know what I mean? So they kind of merged all that into one armor piece that kind of goes over his whole shoulder. So it's kind of an interesting look. And then he had just like kind of a button-up collar on his cape, like what Robin has. So instead, this one has like a kind of the shirt has a turtleneck to it. So no collar on the cape. And then, like I pointed out before, the cape is black instead of gold. You would think the whole cape would be gold, but no, it's black on the outside and gold on the inside. So looking at him from the front, he just kind of looks like the same kind of gold cape you'd expect to see on Dr. Fate. But looking at him from the back, then you see that he actually has black on the back. I was thinking his whole cape was gold in the movie. I could be mistaken about that. I'm just going to have to rewatch it. So it has been a minute since I rewatched it. I do know that the movie did really well on physical media, did really well in terms of digital sales, and was one of the biggest hit movies that they had on HBO Max for the year. So it did really well as far as all that goes. Just didn't get enough butts in the seats at the theater, which is too bad because I would have really liked to have seen the sequel with Henry Cavill in it. I still feel like I'm owed another Henry Cavill Superman movie. So go ahead and get that to me, Hollywood. That'd be nice. So overall, I would say I'm very pleased with this action figure. And if you're a fan of the character of Dr. Fate in the comic book, you don't necessarily have to be a fan of the movie to appreciate this action figure. I think, like, even if you had never seen the movie before and you were only familiar with the character from the comics, you'd think this was a pretty decent representation of Dr. Fate. Maybe they could have made his suit blue, and maybe they could have given him some eye holes in the mask to make him look a little more like the comic book. Maybe even given him some gold trunks. That might be another thing where you can make him closer to the comic book. But I still think this is a pretty good representation of the character. If this was just like an original design that Mcfarlane had come up with themselves, I think fans would be very pleased with it. Now, to compare to another Dr. Fate figure, here we have, like I said, this is the one from Injustice, the video game. Might be Injustice 2, technically. I don't know. But I thought they did a really nice job with this Dr. Fate figure. And my only real complaint about this that I remember at the time was that I wish they had made the ball joints in blue plastic instead of flesh-colored plastic. I think that would have made it look better. But again, like they do in video games, they added a lot of surface detail and stuff to him. And you see they kind of answered a lot of the same questions in different ways and some in similar ways when it came to adapting Dr. Fate into another medium. But you can see how like they kind of replaced all the stuff I was talking about with the shirt collar and the kind of the kind of pads that they had there with more practical armor looking stuff. So, and he still has the amulet in there like he had in the comic book, but even this version of the amulet has an Ankh sculpted into it. And then rather than superhero type trunks, he had this kind of, Egyptian loincloth looking thing. And like I said, they did away with that in the other Injustice figure. So, and like I said, I never even noticed that until the other day when I was looking at it at the store. And I was like, you know what? They did do some stuff different on this. It might be worth picking up this second Injustice Dr. Fate figure after all. And you see what I'm talking about, how they had his whole cape is gold here. Although it's a much more sort of pale gold, almost kind of off-white. Compared to what the armor gold is, but that's nice because it makes it clear that it's a different type of material. It's like a fabric instead of like a metal. So, but yeah, I kind of feel like this one, the details are a little more subtle to it, and I think that this one kind of captures the flavor of the comic book a little bit more. And if I wanted to just make myself a perfect Dr. Fate figure right now, I would just pull the heads off of them and swap the heads around. So let's see if I can do that. And his head is really tough to get off. The movie Dr. Fate came off really easy, and this one's being a bit of a struggle. All right, gang, I'm gonna have to break out the old hair dryer. So I think that's the only way I'm gonna get this off. And I'm worried that when I do this, it's going to leave the plug in the neck, the barbell. And the other one, it pulled the barbell out of the neck. Seems like anytime I want to do a head swap, that's how it works. Because one head will leave the barbell in the neck and the other one will leave it in the head. And then I got to go through this whole production of trying to get one out and the other. Oh, no, I got the barbell out of the neck, so that's good. Man, his neck is like really looking forward there. So let's see what it looks like when we put. There we go. So that is a little more comic booky, is it not? That might be something I might want to look into, see if I can get one of these for cheap instead of just 3D printing out a head. Although I know I have 3D print files for a Dr. Fate helmet, so. But yeah, I like that look a lot better than the weird movie helmet. So for me, this is a much more kind of comic book flavored Dr. Fate overall than what we had before. So pretty neat. I think it's pretty neat anyway. So I'm gonna have to get a second one of these and repaint it, and that might be kind of like my go-to version of this character. Hopefully, I can find a way to peel this armor off without damaging it too much, because it seems like this armor would be kind of a pain to try to paint around. So, especially with like all the holes and nooks and crannies and stuff like that in there. Or I could just try to kind of dry brush some blue over it and leave the black underneath, and then that would give me the excuse to just kind of leave the black there. So, whatever. I'll figure something out. You know, really, it's probably a better idea for them to make this character. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I remember this suit being blue in the movie. It's probably a better idea to give Dr. Fate a gold and blue suit rather than a black and gold suit, because you already have a character in this movie called Black Adam who wears a black and gold suit, famous for wearing a black and gold suit. Then you got another guy in a black and gold suit. You know, maybe make it a blue and gold suit instead. That might make a little more sense, especially since that's what he had in the comic book. Like I said, I don't know why they decided to go with gold or probably black in the figure of, instead of blue, but I can only presume it's because at some point in the production they had intended for him to have a black suit and then just kind of changed it at the last minute. Unfortunately, too late for Mcfarlane to do anything about it. But still, pretty impressive action figure. Definitely worth plopping down $15 on, or for those of you out there hearing about it for the first time, get one for $10 on Amazon. It's definitely worth it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure. Let me know what you think about Dr. Fate in the movie. I remember him being one of the more well-liked things in the movie, and when it was in its first couple of weeks of release, people were talking about giving Dr. Fate his own spin-off movie, and that would have been so cool. I feel like there's just so much missed opportunity by doing a reboot in the DC movies at this point. The previous universe still had a lot more potential, and now you're expecting people to like buy into a whole nother universe when you couldn't even complete the story in the previous universe. Like, what's up with that? What do you think I'm going to do in that situation? So I don't have a whole lot of faith in DC movies under James Gunn. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they'll turn out to do really well. That would be good for them. But I guess we'll just see, won't we? Anyway, that's pretty much it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.